All right, Kristen, good morning. So I'm recording. So, yes, just I was, whenever you were at the gym and we were working together, I was almost always aware of the fact that you were letting me be part of your journey. And I was grateful for that. I didn't just take it as a surface, oh, she's just a member. And I think a big part of it is, you almost reaching out to me for a lifeline after you left, our first gym and going to the second gym. And you're like, hey, I want, I don't even know if you remember me. I'm going to send this out to you, but, I want to change my life. And
Yeah.
that's huge, because part of it is when people come to a gym, that is their desire, that they want to change their life. I think you were just more open, but B, you were more understanding of where you were in the journey. It was not just like yeah, it'd be cool to go to the gym a couple times a week, You're like, a lot of things depend on me going to the gym. And if I don't do this, it's a domino effect.
Yeah, and I think when we connected the second time, um, I had a very good awareness, or over the years I've started to develop an awareness of where I am. Like if I legitimately like, hey, you're in denial right now, I almost knew that I was, but necessarily not to a point that I was ready to make a change or do something different. So I remember, because I had stopped by that the gym a couple of times and not really connected, and then when I saw you had made that transition there, I was like, yeah, I know him, like I think I know him. Like I met him once, for 10 minutes, right? And so coming back, I mean, I still remember, like I showed up for like Ollie, and like no one was there, and it was me and you, and it was for me super comforting, because at that point, with my journey, I've struggled with weight my whole life. Um, and I knew I was on the not the right end at that point, kind of being like a pendulum back and forth. And I was like, I really enjoyed doing CrossFit, and it was something that for me, because I've always struggled with like the number on the scale, I went through bouts where I was like, the scale didn't change, but I was eating good and I was making the habits, like the good decisions that created those habits. And like, why isn't anything changing? So when I got over into CrossFit, it was like, yeah, the scale didn't change, but I did new this week, or I learned something new, or I had a faster time, or, I was lifting more. And so I still remember till this day, I had 2 breakdowns at that CrossFit gym. And I even had, I remember having another breakdown the second time I went on my weight loss journey with my old trainer, because it was so acknowledging some type of disappointment. I had done so much good work, and then I had let it all go, and then be like, hey, we're going to do this. I'm like, I used to do this and I did it really well, and it was super easy. And now I can't even get through it at like 50%. And I just remember like breaking down in the middle of the gym, bawling my eyes out, and, getting back through it. And, a couple of times doing CrossFit, but, those types of breakdowns, now I'm like, I would deliberately like retest those just from like a mental strength to say that it didn't break me. Yeah, at the time it sucked and I didn't like it. And I hated every person that told me to do it right when I started it. But, getting through it and then doing it again and knowing that it was going to be terrible. And so I think for me, having an awareness of where I was, and even now, I mean, we had talked because obviously I'm pregnant. And so I was really afraid to get pregnant after my second weight loss. No, it'd be third weight loss journey. um, because I'd done so much, I'd been in the best shape of my life, and I was, eating healthy and training 4 times a week and surrounding myself with people that were really impactful and positive. And I was like, what's going to happen? And so even from then, you know, like I've gained weight since getting pregnant and being okay with that, and knowing that I just have to accept that I can't do everything that I originally had done. You know, thankfully with all of this stuff going on right now, like we have a home gym and I have a bar and we have a treadmill, and I'm like, well, I can't run, so I'm going to walk, or I'm going to put weights on and walk, or just trying to do something different to keep things moving, you know, and being okay with, hey, I got 3 more months of my pregnancy and that's going to be my priority after that. And then once that's done, we refocus and we do it again. And we're not having any more kids after this. So.
Well, and it was in what you said about you almost knew, or you were aware. So listen, the reason this is going to be different is because I'm aware that there's going to be, I love breakdowns. It's really, it's such, because you're like, I remember you went on the floor in tears and you were like, I mean, you were sitting, you were slumped and sitting. You weren't even laying down. You were, I just remember you were on your butt and your bar was there and you were like, oh, okay, you know, and I think the reason why I felt almost not excited, because that I wasn't excited, but I was optimistic. That's what it was. I was very optimistic for you, was because of the way you came in. You knew. Listen, what that was what was different. You understood. There's going to be reasons or excuses. There's going to be opportunities to settle and opportunities to allow to break my agreements I made with myself. And you didn't settle for those. You basically said, well, here's one right now. It was like, it was an early workout. It was not, you hadn't been there a while, really, I don't think, the first time.
Not the first time I did
That was the over the bar, right?
Yeah, so it was burpee. It was 10 burpees over the bar and 10 toes to bars. And at the time, I was like, nope, I am not doing it over the bar. You can put the bar on the ground. Like, that's not happening. Nope, I can't do toes to bar. You know, I did, you know, hanging knee raises. And I think the first time I did it too, and for 10 rounds, there was like a predetermined rest too. So it was like you did a round and then you rest, and then you did a round and you did the rest. And so breaking down through that, and then it was like I think it was 3 months later, 3 or 4 months later. And I was like, I'm going to do it again. And that was after the start of the CrossFit Games, where I was like, well, I have to jump over the bar and do a burpee. So I did it, which was, it's super simple. Why did I never want to do it before? Because A, it sucked. B, I was more afraid that I was going to fall on my face. And then I was like super excited to do it again. And I forgot about the rest. I totally blanked and was like, I got done with a round and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it again. And that one, I got to like the very end, and I remember being like, don't cry, don't cry. Like I was just holding it together to get till the end. And then I got to the end, and then I had like this like 5-second breakdown. And it was more that I was happy, right, to get through it the second time and not the first time. And then afterwards I go, oh, there's supposed to be a rest there. My bad, you know? So, and there haven't been many workouts like that. I think obviously you had pushed me to enter the CrossFit Games, you know, the open anyway, for the first time. And I was like, why would I do that? He's crazy. What, you know, who would want me to do that? Like, I'm not going to do it. But it forced me to do things that I probably wouldn't have done in a workout, right? Because I'd be like, oh, well, I can't do that. Or you don't have the time to do it. Or, you know, and so again, just that confidence booster that, yeah, you may be absolutely 100% terrible at it. Or I remember a couple times be like, well, you know, a couple of coaches be like, well, why don't you just try it? And I'd do it, and then there'd be this like stare, like, okay, yeah, let's scale it. And I was just like, and for me, not being offended by it or not being worked up about it or knowing that I'm going to have really good days. And it's funny because we found out that we were pregnant super early on. And man, my first trimester, I was PRing like a crazy woman. And it was so weird. And then all of a sudden I hit my second trimester and I was like, where'd my legs go? Like my squat, I'm only squatting with a bar right now, trying to do higher reps and keep things more like an EMOM pattern. So at least it's like, well, I'm going to get 25 to 45 reps in of something with a bar because I just don't have the confidence or the strength that with everything changing in my body changing that I can 100% rely on my hips and my quads and my glutes. So that's been a little bit of a shocker because again, I was like, yeah, we get pregnant. I'm going to be an awesome fit, pregnant lady. And I will have to say, I feel good that I'm still doing it. I'm trying to work out like 3 times a week in our home gym and nowhere near the level of what I was before, but it's still keeping things moving and knowing that I'm taking care of my body. I have to accept that that's what I can do at this moment in time, and that's okay, so.
Yeah, and I love, like, it's a perspective. It's if you're gonna play the long game, you what I think is good too is, so to your credit and to your detriment, you're cerebral, and like we've talked about this before, you analyze, which is great and not great. So it's when you analyze, or the what you're expecting the outcome to be, or why you're going to analyze. Like if you're going to analyze just so you can judge yourself, then
Yeah.
you have to judge yourself on, like I know we had that talk. Like you have to judge yourself on appropriate parameters. Like you can't just say, well, I can't do toes to bar. Really? This is your 3rd time back in the gym. I'm so shocked. Like how I'm ashamed of you. What are you thinking?
Yeah.
As opposed to puppy butt. And
Can you say hi?
hi. What kind of puppy is it?
It's a Bernedoodle. It's actually it's my dad's, was my mom's dog. So they're coming over to help with our bathroom. We have a
Nice.
leak.
Ooh, not nice.
Not nice.
So it's like what is that? A burr?
A poodle and a Bernese Mountain Dog.
That's awesome. I have a Labradoodle.
Ooh.
So that's just a bigger version.
No,
Mine is what?
no permanent dogs for us. I was like, I have a toddler and a husband. We don't need another animal here. So
No, you're about to have one in
I
like 3
know.
months. So you're okay. Like, but that dog looks so friendly. Like, oh my gosh, like, hey, oh wow, you're human and I love you.
Yes, pretty much.
That's kind of fun. But yeah, and I think to me, that's one of the reasons why I connected with you so deeply, was that you trusted me to share that with me. Because, and once again, I really, it's not that I was this magnanimous, amazing, wonderful. It was kind of, you had a little familiarity, but you, on your part of the journey, you were ready. And you were like, that dude is probably, I could probably trust him the most because I've had an interaction with him. And you're right, here we go. And what I think people can get out of this conversation, and I hope they get out, and what I got out was, it was so much more about where you were and where you wanted to go, that I really was like, all right, dude, I'm kind of saddled up. Let's go. I guess we're doing this. And it was cool because even though I was coaching, it was to me, it was much more of a mentorship, because I would learn how to prioritize, like, and not judge myself so harshly, whether you knew I was doing that or not, but just talking with you while we were working out, because you'd say, all right, so here's my goals. Here's my goals for the next 2 weeks. I figured out this is what I want to do. This is how I'm going to focus on it. And I love that, because that gave me a much better perspective of, oh, okay, so I really do have to judge myself by appropriate measure, as opposed to just some arbitrary, even, because yes, I know you struggle with what people thought sometimes and stuff like that. Like we all do. Like we all have insecurities. But you had finally made the point of, enough is enough for me. I am not happy.
Mm-hmm.
Because one of the things that, if people don't know you and Randy, he adores you.
Yeah, no, he does.
And it's funny, he adored you big. He adored you. He actually probably adored you a lot more when he was probably a little more intimidated and scared by you, because he was like, "Oh, my wife's super strong and scary. That's awesome." Like he was like, "I couldn't do that. That's pretty awesome. See what she's doing? Couldn't do that." And I love that. I love that, because of you and what you are, which this is, I know, one of the reasons I like you, because I don't think this even comes into your brain. That's why we were so attracted to you. That's why we were so drawn to you. That's why it's so awesome to be part of your journey, because you were so determined, and to face the stuff that you didn't like about you. And I was like, holy crap. And then I remember, like, I'm going to get emotional now, but I remember when you said, this is my second or third time, because you didn't necessarily tell me that right away. You just said, obviously I'm a little bigger than I want to be. And then I was like, okay. And that didn't bother me. It was when you opened up and you said, here's the real deal. The real deal is, I had lost weight. I had gotten down to what I thought was good. And then over time, just like everything, over time, if you're not consistent, things will change. And when you shared that, the determination and commitment it took to know what it was going to take. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think, and that was the hardest part about, like, the second time around, was that, my backstory, so to speak, is um I had lost a significant amount of weight in my 20s, right? And again, at that point in time, I unattached, did whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted, started in these like chunk increments, So it was like, all right, kind of eating healthy, and then kind of doing cardio, and then kind of doing strength training. And then by the time I got down to my lowest, I mean, I wasn't being healthy. I was in my 20s and I was getting attention, and it's like, oh, I'm the skinny girl, right? Well, I'm not going to eat because I don't want to gain weight. And there's a time that I was purging my food, and I just knew that I couldn't sustain that, right? But that was the goal the first time around, right? The first time around was, I I just wanted some type of attention, or I wanted to fit in with everybody else. And then, finding ways that I did fit in, whether it was the right way to do it or the wrong way to do it, and surrounding myself with people at the time that I thought were my friends. And it's amazing, because then, you kind of detach after college in your 20s, and everybody changes and everybody moves on. And all of a sudden, those people that I had surrounded myself with, some are still there and some are not, and then as I just kind of got out of it and I let it go, ran into some personal things in my life, and my mom getting sick, and it was a hard time, at least then, the second time that I lost weight. I really wanted to do it when I came to the gym, one of the things, me and my mom had a lot of conversations before she passed away about how she would do things differently. You know, I remember her always saying, like, you wait till you have a child and you'll understand my perspective. You know, at the time I'm like, okay, whatever, mom. And now I'm just like, I hear that in my head over and over and over again. And one of the things that she always said that she regretted was that she wasn't a good role model when it came to food, and she wasn't a good role model when it came to activity, right? So she always said, I would have put you into more activities when you were younger, or that you would have stayed with those things, or that we wouldn't have used food as some type of reward, right? Like, it's, hey, you got an A in a test, let's go eat. Hey, you did a good job, let's go eat. You know, and that was the way that I comforted myself. So then when I crossed paths with you again, it was different, because at that point in time, with KJ, my daughter, you know, I had ballooned up to 280 pounds, and I knew that, and my mom had passed at this time, I knew that I couldn't do that. I couldn't sustain that type of life. And I did not want my daughter to go through that same repetition that I went through on this constant up and down for my whole life. And so I had gotten back to, you know, like a typical gym before we had crossed paths again, but I knew that I couldn't sustain that. I knew that my habits and going there by myself and doing my own thing. And I did it for a little bit, and I was like, wow, I really like Olympic lifting. I've been doing the same lift at the same weight for 4 weeks, and I can't do it any better. How, you know, how do I keep moving on with it? So when we crossed paths again, it was, I was ready, right? I knew that I needed to make a change for not only myself, but for my family. And that if I wanted to be the type of mom I wanted to be, that I couldn't do it at that weight. You know, I couldn't do it at that, to be able to play and be active and have a family and enjoy things. And me and Randy always knew we wanted to have a second child too. So if I gained 60, 70 pounds in my first pregnancy and I lose none of it, I'm going to be over 300 pounds, and that's still not healthy as well. So that was kind of my motivating drive. Sorry. Up in the laundry room. Laundry room? Okay. Sorry.
You're fine.
So that was kind of, you know, me and Randy's discussion of we want to have another child, but it really had to be contingent on me losing all the weight I had gained during my first pregnancy. And again, my first pregnancy, I didn't work out. I wasn't active. I ate anything I wanted. If anything, I used it as an excuse, because I was like, oh, I'm pregnant, right? Like, yes, please give me the half dozen donuts, eat them, because I'm pregnant. It's okay. As opposed to really trying to be aware of, okay, what am I doing? How can I try to manage this on the smaller incremental levels, as opposed to being like, I don't want to gain all that weight back, you know? And so I lost all of the baby weight. And then after the baby weight, I was like, okay, well, this is a start and it's working. Let's just keep doing it. So every time we talked, it was like, okay, 2-week chunks, 2-week chunks, or 4-week chunks. Because for me, it was like, oh my God, if I have to do this for the next 35 years, like, I can't do that, you know? But if it's like, I can do 2 weeks, that's no problem. I can do 2 weeks, that's no problem. And to kind of break it off in those smaller chunks, for me, was much easier to digest. And then to be like, this week was good, or this week was bad, or, you know. And it's funny too, because so many times you're talking about this psychological aspect of it. And I even remember when Randy proposed to me, it was literally, we've done the gym thing together since we've been together. He's never been a CrossFitter, but he's totally supported me in everything that I've done. And I always try, I'm like, you sure you want to do it? No way, no way. Like, I had one of the worst workouts I had ever had, and literally 2 seconds later, you know, Randy proposed to me. And I remember feeling so bad, because my mindset was absolutely terrible. It was absolutely terrible. And I was like, why? Why was I so down on myself? Why? And then I took it out on him, only for him to be like, hey, you know.
I was going to ask you to marry me.
Yeah, but that's the kind of perspective, you know. And even with us, our quarantine time has been I've really enjoyed it just because I've been working as a, a working mom, and I get to do breakfast and lunches. And, this morning I got a workout in, and she supervised, as she likes to watch. She's like, I watch daddy, I watch mama. And,
Oh, she's for sure going to be a supervisor.
Oh,
she's in charge of a lot of stuff.
Yes, yes, he is. So, I mean, and to then use what I'm doing as a segue for her. That's the other thing that I'm super excited about too, is that I want her to have good role models in her life that are like, yeah, we're gonna work out, or we're gonna go for a run, or we're gonna lift weights, or whatever it is. All my I want her to be a CrossFitter. They're like, she's going to take up something completely different than what you want. And I'm like, you know what? As long as she's doing something and it works for her, then, that's all I can be proud of. But to be able to now on my second pregnancy, it's like Kinsley weighs 35 pounds. She's a sturdy girl for being 2.5. And I'm like, I don't know how somebody could do that and not work out or not take care of themselves just from a functional life standpoint. I'm constantly picking her up or changing her diaper or moving her or doing these types of things. And I'm like, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it if I wasn't maintaining an active lifestyle ahead of time versus, if I would have handled this pregnancy the same way as I did the other one, or never even lost the weight, to be like, I'd be useless. I'd be useless. And it's not the way that I would want to do it long term.
Yeah, I do. And, I think what I've been taking out of the quarantine is to an extent, and I preface it by saying I'm very lucky because Donna's still working from home. I mean, I'm stressed with financial stuff because I watch my thing, no money coming in and account going down. Like I understand those numbers. I mean, I am a people person, but those numbers I can get. But what I've been doing is I've been very grateful, like you said, to be present, to be, because it's not like I'm a lot of people, yes, I'm a human unicorn. I truly appreciate that. Like, I love my shirt. I like motivational coach. Like, this is just what it is. But it's not in spite of reality. It's understanding, like you said, perspective. I know your mom's passing, but not just her passing, but her, I'm trying not to cry, but her transition into understanding about passing, right? And her like, here's my regrets. Trying to connect, and you didn't just, I don't know, you weren't just flippant about it. You weren't just, yeah, thanks, mom, I love you too, yeah, whatever, blah, blah. You said, all right, well, I can do one or two things. I can say that was nice and whatever, and it kind of gave me a little closure with my mom, or I can be like, how about if I don't have this conversation with my daughter? How about if I don't leave my husband? How about if and that's something that, like, when you came to my gathering, I don't even know what to call it. It wasn't really a party, like, you're no longer there. But it was the reason it meant so absolutely much to me. And I can never tell you how much and how grateful I am and appreciative I am. But because you were a strictly early morning, that you didn't even know a lot of people, and you still made all the effort to acknowledge your gratitude towards me, and just once again be available to that connection meant the world to me, and it still does. That's why I'm all crying, because you're one of the few people that at all times I felt like I treated our connection really well. Like, I don't ever feel like I was kind of like, oh man, maybe I should call her, or, oh, I haven't, because I would check in on you. I would be like, or I would ask the coaches about you, or I would be like, hey, Rob, did you? And he goes, oh, I didn't take it easy. And I was like, I love you, and, but something as simple as that, like, I was aware by getting Rob there, if I wasn't there for you on Fridays, you were still in great hands, because that was important to me. Like, and it does get, and not being a woman, you won't necessarily understand that multitasking isn't always easy, except you are married to a little bit furrier version of me, but that's not always my natural state, but because you're very much a how person. You're like, okay, so how do I do that? How do I accomplish that? I'm a why person. I'm like, same with Randy. We're like, do you see the clouds? And you're going, I'm in the forest. I'm trying to get to the clouds. And you're like, but you can just look up. And you're like, I got to go over there to look up. But that's why we work. It's the same with Donna. Like, I was listening to Simon Sinek, and it's cool because he does the, know your why and start with why and stuff like that. And what's really cool is he's doing a book club for the last 4 weeks about going over his own book just with other people online, because he explains there's how people and there's why people. Everybody's a little bit of each, but you're very much, okay, 2-week chunks. And the way you thought that through, and just was, instead of like, because for me, it's a whole ordeal to have to come to acceptance of a situation that's just reality anyway. And Donna goes, why is this even a thing? Like, it just, and I'm going, you don't understand, and you guys, you and Donna are going, but no, it's just like, I'm going to give you 2 more minutes and then we have to be done. Like, this is crazy. And, but I think why that's attractive to us, but why also I was very excited, is because you still have a lot of why, because you are deep thinking and you deep feeling, and you're really good people. It's at a loss kind of for stuff, but yes, you're a good hugger and you're thoughtful and you're considerate. You're also a sass and like hard-headed and stubborn, and which is the exact same thing, just from a different perspective of calling determined and motivated and persistent. It's the exact same thing from a different perspective. And so I've always enjoyed that about you. And I'll be honest, I think this is why being able to let you know, same with all the people I've interviewed so far, is I actually just had a mild anxiety attack when I was first talking, because I thought, wait, what if I interview people who I don't really know? I was like, well, that's weird, because how am I going to say, hey, I'm grateful for this about you? Like, hey, you're a human. Cool, good on you. Like, you're not in prison yet, so I guess that's cool. Like, what? And but what I find amazing, and I find overwhelmingly grateful, like I'm overwhelmingly grateful for, is that I have such, wait, what did I say I was going to say instead of amazing? Impactful. Thank you. I have very impactful people. I mean, as you can tell, like because the last time I was with you, you were throwing up in the bathroom, and I was like, or almost throwing up in the bathroom. I'm like, okay, well, that was a good workout. Oh, okay, here you go. And
I was very polite about it though, too.
You were. I'm like, okay.
But I think I'm gonna go get sick. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm like in the middle of talking. You're like, I'm gonna go get sick real quick. Hold on 1 second, please. Yeah, and it's what's really interesting is a week before, so just like the week of your competition, when you did your weightlifting meet, at one of the nights I was at the gym that week, and I remember looking in the back room, still not having it set up the way I wanted to, still having junk everywhere because I'm not good with things. I'm not a wow person. I'm a why person. I was like, why won't somebody fix this? but I sat there, I thought, wow, when's the last time I cried? You know, and on a daily basis, it's pretty much a daily basis because of my perspective. Like I focus on the gratitude that both my parents are still alive. Like I remember you telling me about your mom, and I just was like, I'm calling my mom, you know, and just
Mhm.
because that's one of the things I like to do is I like to say, um, all right, so how can I be better? How can I be better? How can I, you know, and I shockingly surround myself with the impactful people who, you know, help remind me that. And and now, like I said, I'm back to pretty much crying daily. And it's not because for me, I used to get embarrassed. I used to get ashamed because I'm supposed to be a man and this and that. And something as simple as how much I like Randy because he's just like so accepting.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you didn't even have to go through like 2 years of rehab. And like, wow, you're like a normal person. You're still accepting and wonderful. And because I really like him and really appreciate him and really I'm so like not amazed impressed by his authenticity of like watching him look at you. And I know I've told you that before, and you're like, I think I told you when you were actually having an attitude about something shocking, and you were like, yeah, he's okay. And I was like, woo, all right, you know. And I understand. I'm not living with him. Same with Donna. Like we are a lot. I understand that, but because we're so raw, not even raw, but emotionally available, like as a whole.
It's almost like unfiltered, and
Yes.
I somewhat joke around, that one of the things that, at least in everything of my experience that I've learned, because me and Randy have been through ups and downs.
Yeah.
We got engaged, and him being, the physique and the health that he is, 3 months before we supposed to got married, he almost died of a heart attack. Right. So these like life milestones of, appreciating and being grateful for things between, my experiences with him and my experiences with my family and my mother. And, the thing that I always, and being a working mom too, I work 50 hours a week and still have a family, and still try to maintain relationships and things. And there's things that I could be better at for sure, but time, right? Time is, everything else will come and go, and everything else you can buy and sell and barter and trade, but you will never get back time, right? And so my perspective on it has always been, don't waste it, right? I'm not going to waste it being frustrated, and I'm not going to waste it investing in people and opportunities that don't have that same level of appreciation, and I try to, whether it's a weight loss journey or, a fitness journey or just the day-to-day struggles in life, like that's always kind of what grounds me, right, is time, because I've had so many challenges at such a young age, because I am young, that I've learned so much, and so when it comes to, our family and what we've built, and the things that you can appreciate, that's always what I alluded to. So like quarantine of being like, yes, I have all the time in the world with my family. For me, I haven't really had experience, like, there could be a balance, right? But I'll take it where I can get it, because no, I'll remember this time 30 years from now to be able to say that my child was being a hellion, or it was crazy, or our roof, our ceiling collapsed because of a water leak, and all these kind of things that you work through. But I'm just, I don't have the, I shouldn't say I don't have the energy. I don't want to allocate energy to things that I can't control. You know what I'm
True.
saying? Because stuff's going to happen, and all I can do is control the way I react to it. So if I have a good day at the gym, or I don't get to the gym, or something bad happens personally, or even the stresses that everybody has, not only me at their jobs, right? It's it's the same stuff, different day, right? You just have to figure out how you navigate it and what your outlet is for it. And even through our quarantine and like me starting my second semester, I mean, there were or trimester, there we go. Um,
I was
there
like,
was a
wait,
couple
you
weeks
went
that
to,
I
you were going back to school too? Okay.
yeah. No, you know, there was a couple weeks that I was like, I couldn't do it. I didn't feel right. You know, my body was achy and things were moving and changing. And, you know, I've been really blessed, at least with my pregnancy this time around, that I've been able to still be active. But, you know, there's still aches and pains and things that are moving and stuff, and to have that perspective that it's not my time. Because I know we had discussed after I had done my weightlifting comp, I was like, wow, I was really close to qualifying, you know, like i was
Two
I was super close.
kilograms.
2 kilograms. And I remember, you know, me and Randy drove home one day, and I asked the question. I was like, what if we put baby number 2 on hold, you know? And we had a legitimate conversation about it. And at the time, you know, I'm on the pregnancy end of it, on the older end. Randy's older than I am, that it didn't seem right. And at least where I was aware, right? Like I was aware, I asked the question, me and Randy discussed it. We decided that at this point in time, we're going to keep on our path. And I'm glad that I did, because otherwise, with everything that would have happened and the aren't, you know, and trying to, it was like, nope, it wasn't meant to be. So, and you know, we got pregnant right away, and it was like, all right, yep, this was meant to be. So, um, understanding that it's really the timing of everything. At least for me, that's what grounds me, and that's where my perspective comes from, because everything else will come and go, but that's the one thing I will never get back, and I don't want to waste 1 minute of it. So
I think it's a perfect place to stop because it's like yesterday I was interviewing one of the owners of Maven, and he said something just like that, and I was like, well, that was a verbal mic drop. Okay. And this is
if I
good.
had, I would,
I was like, okay, well played. So don't get off yet, but I am going to stop the recording. But I appreciate you taking the time to share just and be available for a conversation for that.
yeah, no, I appreciate for reaching out. And when you originally reached out, I was like, really? Like what? I don't, okay. You know, like, but I think that it's a testament to your level of connection. And again, like investing in people that are willing to invest, you know, in you. And so for me, that trust level that you were describing, it was because I felt that sense of investment. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, he's legit. Like I can trust him with my time and my energy, that it's not going to go unnoticed or unreciprocated in some way. That through I can get through the next step of my journey, you know. So I thank you. I wish I could give you a hug right now. But
That's
it's
killing me, by the way.
I know, right? It's so appreciated for sure. So
Thank you.